Hey, everybody. I'm Monica. I'm a mom of three, a coach for teens and young adults, a single parent. What else? So that's my introduction for now. And Joanne's here with me. Hey, Joanne,
Hi, Monica.
tell us a little bit
Thanks for.
about you. You're
Hi,
welcome.
everybody. I'm Joanne. I'm a mom of a special needs, neurodiverse son is the terminology I like to use. And I also work as an integration aide in the school system. And I've blogged about my experience of raising my son over the years.
Okay,
And
cool. So we're here today. We're going to just have a conversation just to bring awareness to a few topics, just to maybe through our conversation on what we see every day, how we're raising our children, how, whatever comes up in the conversation might help somebody in this group with some tools to get through their day. So, Joanne, tell me, I know your son is a lovely kid. I love him. I know him well.
thank
He's how old now?
He's 14.
He's 14. So what have you struggled with? What are you struggling with now? Let's talk about now as a teenager.
Mhm.
What are you struggling with? And what have been the things that have helped you? Or maybe something that you've already struggled with, finished, and sorted out the problem kind of thing. What what has it been that has helped you?
Well, my son primarily is struggling with a lot of things that adolescents normally struggle with, particularly anxiety and anger issues. We're very lucky to have a good team, a good home team for him, as well as one at his school. But I found what's worked a lot. They've supported both him and us as myself and my husband as his parents. But what's helped a lot is reminding him and reminding myself these are the toughest years that we go through, and just keeping the lines of communication open and reminding him that I'm here to listen. I'm here to understand his different brain. And sometimes that's backfired on me when I've said you have a different brain, because he's a smart kid. He's tried to use it to say,
Yeah.
well, then, I have these exceptions and I don't have to follow these rules. No, you have to follow all the same rules. We all do. But I understand because you think and see things differently. Can you show me how you see it? And this is the way I see it. And we kind of compromise and come to some middle ground where we could talk and communicate. What's worked, it took a while, but we're starting to do things like meditations together. I'm starting to speak to him about how music could help, how movement and exercise could help. Because he's got a lot of hyperactivity with his ADHD. So I know these things are grounding for him. But mainly it's just been, he has like certain interests, and just taking an interest in what appeals to him and meeting him there and talking to him through it.
Okay, cool.
That's what we're dealing with now. In the past, now it's, I would say, more anxiety and stress about understanding the world around them. The anger was still there, but it was more in the past. When he started puberty about 2 years
What
ago.
was he angry
Uh,
about? Like, what kind of things? Was it because he couldn't do certain things, or what was it that was angering him?
yes, like typical kids, when they start in the teen years, they want their independence and they want to do what they want to do when they want to do it. And he didn't understand limitations, and he didn't
Mhm.
understand that he had to wait and be patient. So he was, oh, I don't want to listen to you. And we'd have fights about it. And he'd storm out and slam his door, and he would get angry and say things. And we would have to tell him that, listen, those words hurt, just like if we said it to you. So it was a matter of working through those kind of things by, like I said, meeting each other halfway.
Okay. And what are you seeing in the school system? Like, you're an integration aide at a school. And
Yes.
what are, because you're inside the school. You're like, you've got what do you call
Bird's
it?
eye.
Bird's eye view of what's going on. What are you seeing now with all that's going on?
Interestingly, both with neurotypical, neurodiverse children or children with all types of brains, I'm seeing a lot of the same things. I'm not sure if you're seeing that in your practice too, with working
Or
with.
I will tell you what I'm seeing when you tell me what you're seeing, and then I'll tell you what I'm seeing.
Yes, lots of anger issues, lots of anxiety, lots of kids that can't self-regulate. So I always thought, oh well, my son has autism and ADHD. He's got like challenges with learning. This is what's preventing a lot of the development, a lot of them moving forward. But I even see with children who don't have those challenges, just an inability to express themselves and feel heard, and challenges in those fronts, also communicating to friends when they're frustrated or scared or asking for space. Um, so that's some of the negative things I'm seeing like all around. I am seeing positive things as well, though, with
What are you
schools
seeing?
getting on with support staff who are there to help the kids through this, who are being sent to workshops that teach mindfulness, that teach
Excellent.
meditation, that teach zones. Every school has a different system, I'm sure, but ours uses the zones of regulation. And kids will talk about when they're in the red zone, they're feeling angry, or they're in the green zone when they're feeling they could talk. Yellow is kind of
Ah,
in between.
I like
So
that.
yeah, no, it's quite helpful, particularly for the younger ones. Although I have to say I use this at home with my son. I'll say like, I can't talk right now. I'm in the yellow zone, and he started talking that way as well. Oh, I'm in the red zone now, so I can't talk. The other day he
Wow,
said,
this is fascinating. This is an excellent tool for parents to learn. I'm going to learn. I'm writing it down as we speak. So red is I'm angry.
red, yes, yes, and no zone is good or bad. This is the one thing when
Okay,
I did this that I
but
learned. It's
it's helping them learn what's the
exactly like
okay, cool. So
zero.
red is angry and green is
Green is like you're calm, you're ready to learn, you're ready to talk. Yellow
okay.
is kind of like, I suppose, I think it's based like on the red light, green light, yellow light, traffic
Yes, of
lights.
course.
Yellow, you're slowing down, caution. Oh, you're getting up there to being angry. So maybe it's not a good idea to have a heavy conversation if you're in the yellow
Okay.
zone.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's blue zone when you're kind of tired or sick or not really feeling good. And so again, you kind of think, well, is this the right time to have this conversation? Or else, I could say, well, I'm feeling tired, so this is going to
So
affect
how do
how
they
I.
know? Is it taught in the school for them to? So what do you do? Do you sit them down and say, okay, how are you feeling, and get them out of
Yes,
their head and into their body, because they might not know that this is anger or this is sadness, or especially if they're
right.
young kids. So
Yes, yes. It is
do you
hard
ask
for
them
those
to
younger
ground
ones.
themselves, or how does it work to get them to understand what's going on?
A lot of times, like I think teachers as well were trained at my school, but the integration aides definitely and other support staff were trained that we just teach the child to be aware of what's happening in their body. So
Okay,
yes,
so
like
it's through the body. Yeah.
stomach hurt. Yeah, kind of going in. Do you have a sore throat? Where do you feel angry or
Oh,
tension or so very basic kind of things.
okay. Well, that's fantastic. And so let's say he says, I am in the red zone. So what does he do?
Mhm.
What happens? So the kid
Well,
says,
I know
I'm in the red zone. I'm furious. I'm mad at this kid that played with me in the playground and he was cruel. What happens
right.
when he's
Well,
in the red
we
zone?
have a place where the kids can go. It's both
Mhm.
functions as a place where they can learn, like do work, as well as calm down. And there's different corners. There's like a calm corner, a learning corner, and either the integration aid or another support person, we have a behavior tech, would talk to them
Okay.
and help them sort of figure out where they're feeling angry, what happened. Let's reconstruct the event if
Okay.
you have it, and they'll talk it through. There's we have various things like which I'm sure a lot of schools have now, like fidgets and toys or different types of devices that could sort of help ground them and relax them. And the kids would talk through what they're feeling and what's going on. It's not always a perfect system, but the
Oh,
fact
but
that they're
that's
bringing
important that they bringing this in.
right. And I know, like, I can only speak for where I'm at, but a lot of the schools, and I've been on trainings where it's most of the schools in my area, they are, a lot of the aides and the support staff are there at those trainings. So I think a lot of the schools are starting to bring this in because they're realizing the whole mind-body connection and how important it is for kids' mental health.
For sure. From what I'm seeing in because I'm on the other side, I coach families and kids with different issues, and it's about connection. I teach them actually how to get into their bodies. And
Yes.
I'm seeing a lot of anxiety, a lot of
Yes.
anxiety, and a lot in teens where they're actually even afraid to leave the house. And I actually
Yes.
have to coach them in order to walk them through it and feel it in their body. Because remember, our kids are still going to school,
Right.
but the teenagers or the older kids have been at home for a year.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And some of them have just started CJEP or university. Like my older son is going to university, he's going to McGill, and he is online. So that
Yes.
that time where we socialize and we connect with each other,
Yes. They
is
missed out on
online.
that.
There's a
Mm-hmm.
missing connection. Kids want to be able to hug their friends. They want to be able to see this. There's so much in the facial expressions we're missing. In
Yes, absolutely.
And what I'm seeing a lot of is lack of self-confidence. Children
Yes.
are struggling because as parents, we try to do the best we can. We really do. But sometimes we helicopter them. And sometimes we give them the answers. The problem is they get to high school and now they have to make their own decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And they've not built that muscle.
Yeah.
So they don't know
Absolutely.
whether if this is their decision or the parents' decision. So anxiety is
Yes.
coming from that. A lot of it is from that. They're like, I don't know. I don't have the confidence. I don't understand whether this is right for me or I should do it because my parents want it.
Yes, absolutely. And there's that push and pull. I'm sure you see it.
A
I'm not
lot.
sure how often, like, they want to be adults because they're growing up. They know they're not adults and they want to make their own choices. But then, will mom and dad agree with this? Is this the right thing? So
And
they're
that guilt
constantly,
of,
yeah,
oh my God, I'm going to disappoint my parents. And then us as parents, we're like, I don't understand this thing that our kids like.
yeah,
And it's not interesting to us, but how are we going to connect to them without enjoying a little bit of what they're doing?
yes, yes. I read an excellent book about a year ago that had been recommended to me by my son's educator. And he talked about no matter what your kid is interested in, if it's rocks and you're bored out of your skull, how what helped him with his teenager is that he bonded with him over this music he could not stand, and his son loved it. So,
But that's what we
and they
have to
became
do.
close,
Like,
buddying with his son on everything. Just a lot of behavior issues, a lot of fights, a lot of anger and anxiety. So this is what I started doing, and it's really made a huge difference with me and my son. And at the same time, trying to tell him, well, this interests me. So we have a dialogue, like, oh, I
so
don't
you're
like that
building a
music.
connection. You're building
Yes,
connection, communication, so that when your child comes to you for something, one thing I'm doing a lot at home is trusting my son because he used to lie. Let's be clear. Okay. So now
I
telling
think
him
they all.
it's okay, whatever you say, I'm good with, but please tell me the truth so that they don't
Yes,
have that fear of, oh my God, mom's going to shout at me because I lied. It's important that
yes,
we don't punish them over everything,
no,
just get
exactly.
to be okay. Thank you for telling me the truth. And also, one
Yes,
thing that
yes, I.
I've noticed that I do, I don't know about you, is when I do wrong, I say it.
Yes, I do.
Like,
Oh,
not just
yes.
because I'm a parent.
No,
If I said something to my son or my child or any one of them, apologize. There's no
yes.
hierarchy here.
No, no. You
You
own
know,
it. You mess up. Absolutely.
so it's important. So what do you have that, like, give us a nugget, anything that you want to leave people with here? Because I know a lot of people are at home now and they're struggling with their children, with themselves. And what advice, okay, I've got this, what advice do you have? What would you do as a mom? What saved you in the difficult times as a mom? Like, what
Uh,
have you developed? What in your life have you done that's helped you as a mom? Because we talk about the kids all the time, right?
right.
But
Mhm.
really, you need to fill your own tank. So, what
Yeah.
have you done to help you?
For me, it's just been, well, yoga and meditation have been instrumental in helping me with my mental health and my stress level. But really taking off from there, I would just say slowing down and taking the advice I tell my son, stop and think before you speak. And I used to be so famous for telling him that because he blurts things out. And I
I
was blurting
remember.
things out. I would react, to
Yeah, yeah,
everything
me
he
too.
did. Yeah, I think it's a natural parent kind of thing. And like you said, the whole hierarchy that, well, I'm the parent, so I'm in charge. Now I say, well, yeah, I'm the adult, I'm the parent, I have to, guide him, but really it's a guide. It's not like I make the rules. There's some things we could decide together, but most important, just be open and remember he's trying to communicate, whether it's good or bad things. He's struggling like you struggle, like we all struggle. So I just stop and think, is this a good thing to say now? Do I need to grab hold of my emotions before I say to him what I need to say? And that has been instrumental. And when I do that, things go well. When I forget, I have to give myself what I call a cool down in my room until I can have a conversation with my son. And I still have those moments. So they happen once in a while.
Okay, cool. And for me, as a mom
Mm-hmm.
and a single parent and
Right.
a coach and all these hats that I
Right.
wear, slowing down, key.
Yeah.
I used to jump.
Mm-hmm.
Now I see stopping and refueling as vital.
Oh, yeah.
And then I listen to my body. I'm like, okay, this doesn't feel right. Before I
Yes.
would feel guilty and feel really bad about saying no.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's like, okay, Monica, what does it feel like? Doesn't feel right. You gotta, you know. And what has helped me a lot is art, creativity, releasing my emotions on paper. And that's what I teach kids and adults, and writing it out. Because sometimes you need to feel it and then you need to understand it.
Yes, yes. Journaling is really good as well, like art, journaling, music, any kind of way artistically you could reach out. I'm actually, as a writer myself, that's what helped me when I was recovering from my burnouts. But now I try to tell Michael, because my son, he's a very
Mhm,
verbal kid.
mhm.
Write it out.
Write it out.
On he has a little phone in your notes, or what's really therapeutic, because similar, like you say, painting for you, or
Painting,
touching the surface of the paper.
writing,
So with a pen,
it comes
writing
out,
like
right?
in the notebook.
When we
Yeah.
write energetically, I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking, uh, any stuck
Yes.
energy comes out of your body. So writing, it cleans up your energy, that helps you release space. Because
Yes.
I always tell any kid that works with me, go into your room when you're angry, write it all out, tear it up, throw it in the bin, and then
Mm-hmm.
go out and speak to the person, your parent, because the fuel of it has gone now because you've released it on that paper.
Mm-hmm.
So you
That's
let
an
it
excellent.
out, then you go and speak to your parent. You do
Yes.
not go and speak to the parent when you're fueling,
Yeah.
like you said, time out.
Yeah.
It's so important. And
Yeah.
Joanne and I are still, it's not like we've aced this parenting thing. We have
No.
not aced this parenting thing.
Far
Okay.
from it.
These are some of the things that are helping us. And every day it's a different journey and a different thing. But connection and connecting to ourselves and our kids.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I just learned something different with what you said about putting it in the box and tearing it up. I'm going to mention that to my son.
That's what
For
honestly,
women.
like, before we study, sometimes when we have to do French, because my son hates French and hates having to do homework in French. So what I do is I take out the paper and I say, okay, Mark, put everything on the paper that you're angry about.
Mm-hmm.
Get him to pick the colors, and he like scribbles it out and gets angry on the paper. And I'm like, are you ready now? So we've taken out all the charge that comes with what's going on and how I have to do this. And we tear it up and we throw it in the bin. And then he's now clear to study.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's little things.
It's
It
like,
doesn't require so much. It's just little things that we can teach our kids. And also another
Absolutely.
thing, what do you think, Joanne? Seeing our kids as if it's not us, the parent, from a different perspective, because we're too close up to the situation.
Oh, definitely. And I used to be, and this is only something I've recently let go of, when my son would have a tough moment, misbehave, or have challenges, especially if we were at a family function. He's one of those that he's quite good at school, but with us, he would feel comfortable and let loose. And I would feel judged, even though no one judged me. I have a very supportive family and friends. I would feel like it's reflecting bad on me as a mom, that I'm failing him, that he can't hold himself together, that he's having these outbursts. And I learned to say, no, that's him. This is you, that's him. Yes, you have an impact on how you handle things with him and how you respond to him. But over the years, I've learned to let go of, like you say, helicopter parenting, micromanaging. I have
I mean,
to,
the control is one of my things. I'm working very hard with the control thing.
so it's liberating. At first, I thought I would feel like, oh, well, now I'm abandoning him. No, there's abandoning your child and saying, oh, let them do what they want. And that's, I think, the mentality I was thinking, but that's not what this is about. Just like being on supporting your child and helping them is not about helicopter parenting. It's somewhere in the middle where you give them space and see them as a separate individual, like you were saying, and also understanding that, no, that's their choice. I could show them, this is like the choices they have, and then they react and they have to handle the consequences and handle how they come out of that. And I'm there in the back supporting them. But
and it's okay for them to fall.
yes,
Before I was like, no, he can't fail. He can't
yes,
fall. He cannot fall. But he needs to fall, because how do they learn?
yes,
Sometimes
absolutely.
we all learn from failure. Sometimes we all learn from falling
Yes,
and getting up again. But if we're holding them up
that's
all the time and making sure, oh, be careful, we don't want them to fall, they haven't learned
yes,
anything.
yes. That's it. And I think we tend to think, at least this has been my experience with many of the friends I know in my community, when the child already has challenges, we have to kind of catch them up, and we have to
Yes.
really be sure they don't fail, because they've already got, I don't want to use, I'm trying to think of the right word, not strikes against them, but in the world where it's very competitive and there's already difficulties, we don't want them to struggle even more, not knowing, like you say, that
So we
struggle is what builds.
overcompensate sometimes. We
Yes.
overcompensate. And then another thing that
Yeah.
I've noticed for someone who has more than one child, our
Right.
energy goes all to that one kid that
I can imagine
needs us
that.
more. And the other children sometimes that don't seem to need us as much,
Right.
we're like, they're good.
Yeah.
And
Right.
sometimes they want that connection, they want that that's
Yeah.
time with us, but we're
Of course.
so trying to make sure this child gets through wherever he's getting through and gets to
Yeah.
their level. We the energy can drain you.
Yes. I've often wondered, I have one child, but I've wondered my friends, both who are single parents and who are married or in partnerships, how they manage when there's 2 or 3 children, whether there's challenges or not, to give them that time. And I've talked to friends who've said, yeah, we try to have
It's a
like
big
mom
struggle.
and son nights or dad and daughter nights. But like you said, even if the other child seems to need less, sometimes they're tempted to give more to the other child. But then I had one friend that the other child that had no issues started acting out to get attention because they
That's it.
felt neglected. And then that's when she realized, oh my goodness, we really have to be conscious as parents to.
And it causes conflict between the kids,
Yeah.
because one is getting all the mom's attention or the dad's
Right.
attention. And then also, which we didn't speak, we'll speak about this part, the co-parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Co-parenting is
That is a
obviously something that I live, and I
right.
also mediate families. It's
Mm-hmm.
very, very important, even if you're not a co-parent, if you're a couple, if you are not on the same
Yeah.
page,
Oh yeah.
there's
I
a
could write a book
major,
about
major, me too.
me and my husband were on the same page.
You are or weren't?
We are now, but there was years we weren't, and it was a disaster.
I know. And me and my
You know,
ex-husband were not on the same page. And now, as a divorced couple, we're kind of on the same. We're working together because we
good.
had to do the work. And you have to see also who has what, we each have strengths.
Yes,
And if
absolutely.
we can work on the strengths instead of blaming the other person for the weakness,
Yes, that's
that's
right.
key. Because the foundation, because kids, if their parents are not on the same page, they know how to play us
Oh,
big
for
time.
sure. They're experts. Yeah.
Okay, so they'll see your weakness and your weakness. So the
Oh, yeah.
key is to whatever's going on, even if you don't like each other, there,
Hmm.
there's work that needs to be done so you can co-parent, because this is not negotiable. If a
No,
kid is
absolutely.
not doesn't have stability,
Hmm.
they're going to act up and they're going to work against the parents. So even if you don't like your ex-partner,
Right.
this is lifetime's work with your
Yes.
kids. If you want to help your kids, you got to get together.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Whether you're in a relationship or you're single parents and you're co-parenting from different homes. And I've seen in my, both in the school system and among my friends who are single parents and who are married, it could go well either way and a disaster either way, because you could be in a so-called loving relationship with your partner, but not parenting on the same page. Or you could be respectfully separated or divorced from your ex-partner and parenting totally on the same page. Sometimes even I find my friends who are single parents work harder because they know that, their partner isn't here. I have to be, not I have to be strong. We all have to be strong, but I have to have my tools and speak to them calmly about this, because the child is in two homes, or the child does see both of us, and we're not always, there in person together to talk. So we really have to work at the child having a seamless kind of transition. So they even work harder than some married couples, at
Yeah,
least in
I
my.
mean, I had to do my own inner work first. That was
Yes.
big time work
Yeah.
to overcome
Oh,
a lot of my own issues that were translating onto my child or my children, because
yes, that's
we
all
do.
of us.
And then it was important to build that foundation. And
Hmm.
these kids didn't come to this earth, we brought them here. So we
Yeah.
really need, even if we don't like each other, we need to give them stability.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I have my moments where I'm losing patience, that's what I say. Like, you owe him that, your son, that you owe that to yourself, to be the best parent you can be, but you owe it to him to give him the tools he needs to have a fulfilling life. He was given to you for a reason. And, people had said that to me in the past, but because I was coming from my own place of pain or stress and I wasn't doing my work, I would feel like, well, I can't do it. So many times I've said, I can't do this anymore. When I would hit up a roadblock with
So
my,
many times have I said, I can't do this anymore.
you have to, you're the only one. And even, if you can have a team, you can have people advising you, you could read great books, you could go to support groups, and all these things have been great tools for me. But in the end, I have to trust my gut as a parent. That would probably be my nugget, actually.
Yeah.
Trust God as a parent. I think
Oh
many
my
of
God. I
us.
mean, that's why intuition is so vital in my life, because that's that gut feeling
Yeah.
when everybody else tells you, no, that's not the right thing for your child. And
Yes.
you know,
Yeah. I heard those words recently and I said in my head, screw you.
yeah,
This
exactly.
is what he's going to do.
And yes, we have to get up, but there are times it's very difficult. And I'm sure
Yes,
every parent
absolutely.
has said, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Like,
We've
I
all been
didn't
there.
bargain for all this.
Yes. But
So,
it's, yeah, but it's, it's a process. So you take it moment by moment, and you give yourself, my friends and I have always had a joke that give yourself, like, that time off to rebuild, to recalibrate yourself and say, okay, I'm having a bad day. I saw a saying once that, I'm not having a bad week, I'm having a bad moment, or I'm having a bad,
exactly.
and take kind of, moment to moment, hour to hour, and just saying it's going to get better. I just got to breathe, you know, refocus and try again. Like we tell our kids, it's going to be okay. Tomorrow's another day. We have to believe it ourselves. But I think
Exactly.
it's hard.
And one thing that I do, like, because I go from taking my kids to school to going into a meeting or going into something else. So I have to, sometimes it bothers me, my morning thing, what happens with my kid. And I need
Yeah.
to, so
Yeah.
I come home, sometimes in the car, I take out the piece of paper and I start writing and writing and writing all the stuff that just bothered me, right? And
Yeah.
I tear it up and I'm like, okay, am I good? You're good, Monica? Okay, now you can go into the meeting. So I
That's
don't
it.
so I don't take it, what happened in the morning all through my day.
Yes, I have a friend that would say that too. When the bus would pull away from the curb, to take her son to school, if she'd had a rough morning, and she said, I just go inside and I take, even if it's just 5 minutes, because then I have to leave for work, and just let it go and release it in my own way. And I remember that when I was having terrible mornings with my son to get out of bed and get to school on time. He went through that phase as well.
Ah,
That's what I would do. And now this year, I'm lucky I have time before I have to go to work when his bus comes really early. So that
okay,
is a blessing. I use that time in the morning for me, to meditate, to do my yoga, to calmly get ready for work.
exactly.
Huge, huge, because I've
It's
never
so
had this.
important because the thing is, they've forgotten by the time they come back from school, and you've carried it all day
On the bus
into
stop.
your
Yeah,
meeting, and now you're mad at your boss, and now you're
right.
mad at your husband, and you're mad at everybody in the house. And really, the kid has no memory of what he just did this morning or anything. So
That's
if
it.
we don't know how to release it, you've carried it
Yeah,
on to everybody,
it's
you know?
that's it. The same thing if you have a bad day at work. I know this used to happen to my husband. He'd have a stressful, and I'd say, stay in the car a few minutes when he used to work outside the home before. Now he's
Yeah.
working through home. I would say, like, don't stay there an hour. I'm not telling you not to come into your own house, but if you're angry and the car ride home hasn't given you time to release it, stay in the car 5 minutes and just breathe. And he said, he thanked me. He said it's a really good tip that he now uses. So even if he's
Because
had
you
a really
carry
rough
the
day,
energy, right? Like
yeah,
you're
yeah,
angry at your kid. This is energy that you haven't cut from, disconnected, released, right? So you
yeah,
are carrying it to the whole day. So instead of it
yes,
being a 10, I call it half an hour. It's that 7 to 7:35.
right,
Okay. And you're like, okay, 7:35, things are gonna get good now. So you're just counting the minutes till the 7:30 finishes. But if we leave that in our system, it's
right.
poisoning us.
It
We
is.
are now attracting all kinds of negativity throughout the day.
Yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
just, okay, done, clean it out, move
Yeah,
forward. It's not
absolutely.
personal. That's another thing. It is not personal. This child is doing the best they can.
Yeah, that I think is absolutely right, Monica. I don't know what techniques you have for when that comes, like how you handle it with your kids and your practice advising other teens and young people and their families. But for me, it's not taking your kid personally. And again, something I'm getting better at, but other times it does hurt because you love
It
them, they're your
hurts a
child. So
lot.
it's hard not to take it personally, but it just spells disaster if you do.
Exactly. That's very important. That it is not about you. They're going through their own struggle inside and they
Right.
blow up. And who's their safety net? The mother, usually.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's the father, but in general, we
it's the
are the
mother.
punching bag. So as
Right.
long as you're like, this is what I do sometimes, I just go la 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 la, la in my head when they're saying
Right.
it, so that I understand it's not about,
Everyone's,
because it hurts when
yeah.
they tell you they
I,
don't love you, or I don't know what. There's a lot of things that they
right.
say when they're angry. And if we're
Yes,
going to
they
take it
yell.
personally,
Yeah. I had a friend that used to say she screamed on the inside because I would tell her I'm a screamer, and it doesn't help. It just, my son and I can have screaming matches and out scream one the other, each the other, and it doesn't help. And she'd say, well, why don't you scream on the inside? That's what I'm doing. I'm looking at my son. Well, you're better than me. I have to work on that
yeah,
technique,
but
and I
when you
learned it
scream
over.
on the inside, you're storing it inside, which
Oh,
is
that's
not
true.
healthy either.
Okay.
It's you're collecting all that suppressed anger,
Anger.
and
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
affect your health. So
Okay.
neither, no, neither or.
Right. Right.
Maybe suppress it while he's there, and
Right.
then
Right. And I think
find an
she released it.
outlet.
Yeah, yeah. I think she did. Like she was one of my friends. She likes to run, so she probably
Okay, so
released
she would
it
release
time
it through running, because physical
size or
exercise
something.
releases it, art,
Yeah,
creativity, all kinds of stuff release it.
that's it.
So it's so cool. Thanks, Joanne. I hope something we
No
spoke
problem.
about today helps a parent. We're just like you guys doing the best we can on this journey.
Yeah, Thanks a lot for having me, Monica, and I hope as well.
Welcome. I hope so. So take care. Bye.
Bye.